guys, Sean T. Phillips here with my brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday Shambler today. They're going to go out, see what things come out today, see what things are on sale. I know the big release today is Jigsaw, and I'm pretty sure there's only one, exclusive edition of that, retail exclusive release of that one, which is the Best Buy Steelbook. It's a pretty cool Steelbook, so hopefully they have that one in store to show you guys. I also did an in-store pickup for Best Buy for a 4K release, so it should be there. I did already bought it and everything. I've actually never done that before. I've usually only, had stuff ordered and then delivered from Best Buy, because usually they don't have it in the store, but looks like they have that. It's one of those, like I said, only at Best Buy releases, so that should be there. Also, if you guys didn't see, I did a video this past weekend going to the Dollar Trees, because the Dollar Dvds and Blu-rays are back, and I'm actually going to go to probably 2 other locations that I haven't been to yet to see if they have anything different, so definitely going to go and check those ones out. Also, at the end of this video, there's going to be some new DVD and Blu-ray reviews for some things I received to review and talk about. Some pretty cool stuff like the Vestron video, some 2 new Vestron video releases, and a bunch of other stuff, so definitely stay tuned for those at the end of this video. But anyway though, guys, let's get going and see what we can find today.
Into Walmart we go.
And I know I'm shaking things all up and going here first and everything, and I actually haven't been to this Walmart location in probably 3 years, and probably only ever been to it once, but we'll see how this one is. I was, like I said, shaking it up because I was going to these different spots just to go to these 2 other Dollar Trees today.
And like I said though, the big release that came out today was Jigsaw, and like I said, I'm pretty sure there's not any other retail exclusive editions of this one other than the one that's at the Best Buy Steelbook. But the 4K edition of this one is $24.96, and I actually really thought this was actually a pretty cool movie. I've liked pretty much all of the Saw movies. The last couple ones, like the final one before this one, wasn't amazing, but I really did like this one a lot. I thought it had a different kind of take on the whole thing. And also the other one that released today was Geostorm. I'm going to have a review of this one at the end of this video. And Killing of a Sacred Deer release, that one's $17.96. This is a really cool, trippy, weird movie with Nicole Kidman and Colin Farrell about this weird kid that, Colin Farrell's this doctor, and this kid that kind of shadows under him, and they become friends, but he's a really strange kid and all this weird stuff going on. But it's one of those movies, it's best to kind of go into this kind of blind, because I didn't know a whole lot going into this movie, and the trailers don't really tell you too much, but it's an amazing movie. Would highly recommend you guys check that out. And pretty cool too to see this one for sale in Walmart, since it's a really pretty, really indie film. This one released today as well. This one, I believe this was today, Jawbone. And over here, this is section's empty, but I'm pretty sure this was just it, because I was looking a second ago. And this is one of the other ones that released today, this Miles Teller film, Thank You for Your Service. I have not seen this one yet. If you guys have seen this one, let me know though if this one's any good or worth picking up. But I haven't really even heard any reviews or that much at all about this one specifically though. Into the Dollar Tree we go. And this one here seems to have a couple different things. I know this is one of the other ones that I didn't see when I did my video of this last time, Mirror Mirror. But it seems like it's a lot of DVDs. Mirror Mirror seems to be the only Blu-rays that I'm seeing here. Trying not to mess anything up, but all these things on top of here though, because last time people were like, oh, did you stack all these things on top of it in the last video? No, these are all like this. But there seems to be a couple different DVDs in here that I didn't see at the other ones, like this one here, the Way Back. This is a pretty good movie. I know there's a Blu-ray of this one though. I don't know if they have it at the Dollar Trees, the Blu-ray ones anywhere. This one, Scorpion King 3, is one of the other Blu-rays they have. Gotta get it back in here, because and then this one, Tiger Eyes. I don't know anything about this. I know I didn't see this one at the other ones, but pretty much just going to look through all these and probably going to try and go to at least 1, maybe 2 other ones today as well, and see if they have anything else different. This one was pretty good, this movie Trance. Yeah, I remember this is like a Danny Boyle one. You don't hear about this one too much, but this was a pretty decent movie though. But I know these ones, they had Safe Life, a lot of them at the other one. This one, this Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie, Fletcher, I think that's what it's called. I never know. Or Herschell, I think. He was like a rock kind of band guy or something. I remember this one kind of seemed interesting. I remember seeing the trailer for this one a while back. And this weird one, like a Disney Channel movie called Pants on Fire. So there definitely are some different ones at this location for sure. Into the Valley thrift store we go. I love it. It always says keep door closed, and this door is always open. I don't think I've ever actually come in here and that door, you know, is actually closed. But I was actually in here a couple weeks ago, but we'll see. You know, actually not a couple weeks ago. I was actually in here last week, but we'll see if there's anything actually in here different. This is like one of the first times I've been in here too. There was like no one, literally no one at all looking in these movies and stuff. It's funny, this Everybody Loves Raymond like sealed thing here from the complete 6th season. That's like a random sealed show. Some of these Thunderbirds, I think, are out of print. That's funny, they have a whole bunch of these. I think some of these, I'm pretty sure, went out of print. These are like old A&E releases. They may have been reissued again, I'm not sure. I remember looking at them every so often as a kid. I saw a couple of those ones. This is kind of a weird one. I think this is one of those archive ones, like the burn on demand ones. I don't know. It has that look to it, but I don't know if it is for sure or not. But like I said though, gonna go look through all this stuff, and I was really only here like a week ago. Here's this thing still here, this weird one that looked like a Hellraiser, kind of like knockoff Hellraiser cover. But I was only here last week, but since I was going to the one dollar store, I was like, oh, I might as well just look here again just to see if anything's different. And they have this Heathers in here, and I saw that trailer for that new Heathers TV series. That looks so strange. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but I don't know. It's like going a totally different direction, which is kind of interesting that it's going like a really, really different direction, but it does not look that great at all. Like, I'm sure I'll watch an episode of it just to see what it was, because I really, really love the original movie. But I don't know. We're really going to see how that one is, because the trailer, like I said, looks really kind of strange for that one. But seeming to be pretty much the same stuff. Nothing really. This is kind of weird though. This like fossils, rocks of time. Some weird rock, like fossil rock thing. That's kind of weird. These things are always kind of strange, these kind of educational things. But other than that though, nothing really too different in here, at least as far as I can tell today. Into the second Dollar Tree we go. Well, we'll take a look and see what's in here, and I definitely see a couple different things in here, like this one, Safe Haven, this Julian Huff movie. I didn't see that one, the last one. This is another one that is kind of interesting, Gods and Monsters, and I don't believe this one is out on Blu-ray. This is actually a pretty good movie, so I think I'm probably going to get this one, especially for $1. But they had in here these Rocco ones. I think this is like a collection of like a couple different episodes on here, so that's kind of cool to see this in here for $1. But it seems to be a lot of DVDs, but Longest Ride, I believe this one was like on the sale like months back as well. This Paranoia one. There was one or two other ones I saw different. October Baby, I don't believe I saw at any of the other stores in my last video. But definitely are a couple different ones. It definitely seems like all the locations have some really different things. So it's like really sporadic, you know, what they do and do not have here. This one, the A-list, I don't remember seeing this one and any of the other ones, like The Ringer. I always liked this movie with Johnny Depp. I mean, not Johnny Depp, Johnny Knoxville, but I always thought it was kind of a funny movie. I think the Farley brothers like produced this one. I don't think they directed it though, but this was kind of a funny movie, except that this is another one, and I don't believe this one is on Blu-ray. I do have this one already. This one has a thing on it that says previously, enjoyed, so I guess this must have been like a rental copy or something. I don't know, because it doesn't look like it was ever opened before. And they also have in here a couple other Blu-rays like November Man, more Longest Ride, this one Best of Me, which I don't remember seeing in any of the other ones, and then Russell Madness. But I think I'm going to get, though, this one for sure. But like I said, though, I ended up getting that Safe Haven one, which I actually never seen that one, and Gods and Monsters, which that's one, I don't think I saw that one since like a year or so after it came out, and that was kind of a random one to see in here, because I was looking online, it's like the lowest price, I think, for this one, like used or even new, was like $3 or something. So with shipping and stuff, that's like, going to be like, $2 or $3 more. So definitely not a bad price. And this is a Brendan Fraser one I have not, like I said, have not seen in a really, really long time. Into Target we go. And they have a sale going on here for some newer movies like Dark Tower for $10, Kingsman, the newest Kingsman film, for $10, the Lego Ninjago movies here for $10, Dog's Purpose $10. So I think a lot of these ones were like the Black Friday ones, but these ones are on sale this week for $10. Boss Baby, Captain Underpants, Sing, and the Emoji Movie. All these ones are $10 for the DVDs or the Blu-rays, as well as Despicable Me. Oh, Despicable Me 3 though, that one's 15. And over here though, there's a copy of Jigsaw. It seems like I don't think they have the 4K here, but they have Thank You for Your Service. That one's $19.99, but the standard Jigsaw is $19.99 for that. And then they have Geostorm, that's $22.99 for the Blu-ray of that. But other than that though, that seems to be all of the major things that I see in here that are new today. Into the third Dollar Tree we go. And this one has a couple different ones as well. Like, I didn't see this in any of the other locations. This one, Mind of the Married Man, or Mind of the Married Man. I don't remember how many years this went, but I remember seeing this like when they re-aired this on HBO, and they have Paper Towns in here. I only see though the DVD of that one. This is a really random one. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. This is one of those ones, and they never really did too many other releases like this at all. And it was a DVD plus a CD. So you like flipped over the disc, and it was like this one side was a CD with like the music, you know, the soundtrack, and the other side was the DVD. But that thing never caught on. I think they were gonna try and like do that and have that be like something that they did, was, you know, have the soundtrack on the releases. But like I said, that never really caught on. The only other thing that they have here, which I accidentally forgot to get at the first place I went when I did the video on Saturday, you know, the Dollar Tree video itself, I forgot to buy this one because this one looked kind of interesting. So I think this is the only one in here though I'm gonna get, because other than that though, all these other ones I've pretty much seen everywhere else.
And this past weekend, I saw two different films. The first one I saw was the Gerard Butler film, Den of Thieves. And that's one of those movies, I will say, though, if you guys are interested in seeing that movie and you've not seen any trailers or anything for the film, definitely do not watch the trailers. I thought there was like a big aspect in the trailers that they like spoiled, and I'm like, why did they talk about that and like put so much emphasis on that in the trailer? Because it's like a huge thing that really spoils something about the movie. But essentially, though, it's about a group of these robbers, you know, that have stolen this armored truck in the beginning of the film, and all these people have gotten killed, and Gerard Butler's this cop who's trying to investigate like this like all the people that gotten killed and who is behind the whole thing, and he's trying to kind of figure out the people that kind of to infiltrate this group and get to the bottom of the whole thing. And that's essentially what it is. But it's one of those movies, you know, normally like these like bank heist kind of movies are really, really quick, you know, quick cuts, really fast-paced, like really, you know, fast-paced films. This one, though, was like 2 hours and like 30 minutes long, and like some of the scenes like really, really went on and on and on and were very slowly cut. There was very, like a lot of parts, there was not a lot of music or anything to the movie. I don't know, it was one of those things, though, even though it was really, really long, it felt like two. There was a lot cut at the same time, because then they would have certain characters where they would, you know, and then they really wouldn't do anything with the characters, and certain things were never really resolved, and there was like, well, then if you were not going to really show much of that, then you almost didn't even need to show any of that in the movie at all. I don't know. I didn't honestly get into the movie too much. There were some things about it that were okay, but it was just so slow, and I think if it was cut a little quicker and it was like maybe 30 minutes taken out of the film, it might have been a much quicker movie, and I think it would have been a little bit more of an enjoyable movie. The other one that I saw was the, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis film that he stars in, and it's Paul Thomas Anderson's film, The Phantom Thread. It's actually just got, you know, an Oscar nomination for Best Picture. But, you know, I actually thought that was I really like, you know, Paul Thomas Anderson's movies. They always have sort of a weird kind of gloom mood, a lot of them, like a weird kind of feel to them. This one, it has some exceptionally weird stuff going on, you know, and I don't want to say anything about it because it's kind of like, I didn't even know some of this was going to happen in this movie, like the weird vibe of what was going on. But it's basically Daniel Day-Lewis's character, who's this dressmaker who makes these really elaborate, you know, fancy, really expensive dresses for these high-level clients and stuff, and he ends up meeting this one woman, and he's a very, like, controlling kind of guy, and it's like, he doesn't like anything out of the norm. He always likes you to do things real specific ways. If you, like, make noise buttering toast, and he gets all crazy, and he's, like, really obsessive and stuff, and it's sort of about him and this woman and his obsessive, weird relationship that's going on. But it's actually pretty good, like, but very strange movie. But if you guys have seen either of those movies, though, let me know, you know, what you thought about those ones, or what movies you guys saw this past weekend.
Into Best Buy we go. But in here, though, they actually have the Steelbook here for Jigsaw. Like I said, it's a really cool animated image on this one. And you see the characters in the back with like the buckets on their head. But this is a really, really cool one. This one is $24.99 for this one. So it's the same price as the 4K edition of this. But pretty cool they have some of these ones in. They also have Thank You for Your Service here for $19.99. And this one, I actually pre-ordered this one because I didn't know how many copies of this they were going to have. This is only a Best Buy exclusive. I think it's till April 22nd this goes, so then after that I think it'll be pretty much everywhere. But I think I have to go over to the actual section to get this one though.
Yeah, so like I said, I ended up getting the Groundhog Day 4K, which is exclusive in there, and I wasn't sure how many they were going to have, so I just wanted to be kind of safe with this. It looked like they maybe got in like 5 copies. It was so weird that when you look online, it shows like not available at all, so it's kind of strange like that. But I got panicked because it had this like big sticker thing on the front, and it was like right on the entire slipcover, covering like probably 50% of the thing, and I was like panicked, like, oh, it was going to rip the whole thing off, but luckily enough, it didn't. I know I remember seeing some people that have had that on there and had a really tough time getting the sticker off. But anyway though, guys, like I always say, if you enjoy these shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Now stay tuned now for some new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And the first ones I got here are from Lionsgate on their Vestron video line. This one here is class of 1999, but I really, really love the Vestron video line. Really love the releases they put out. Can't wait to hear, you know, what some of their future titles are going to be, because their stuff, they do an amazing job with picture quality and tons of features on their releases, lots of interviews and stuff. This one though is from the same director who directed class of 1984. It's got a similar kind of like vibe to it, but this one's, you know, set in the future, or what was the future, you know, when this was made, because I think this was made in like I think it was like, it was made in 1990, and this is, you know, set in 1999. It's about, you know, the whole world has kind of become very violent. There's all kinds of violence, and the one school that Malcolm McDowell's character, you know, runs the school, he's the principal of the school, he ends up getting like this offer from Stacy Keach, who runs this like robotics division, to kind of test out these robot teachers to kind of come in and help discipline the students. Of course, you know, the students have no idea that these teachers are robots. These 3 students that come in, you know, the 3 teachers that come in to, you know, teach the classes, they have no clue that these are robots, and they're kind of being watched by Stacy Keach's, you know, robotics division group on the monitors, and they're kind of seeing, you know, how the teachers react, and because of course he wants to kind of develop these, you know, teachers, these robotics, you know, to kind of hopes of sending them to all kinds of other schools. So this school is pretty much, you know, the first testing grounds, but you know, these teachers are making like really rash decisions, and they get very violent, and you know, students are getting killed, and it's kind of like falling apart. And it focuses mainly though on this one kid and the Malcolm McDowell's daughter, and they kind of have a relationship, and it's sort of like for one reason or another, the teachers kind of target the one kid, and they're kind of coming after him, and it's kind of like him trying to figure out what he's going to do when these, you know, these teachers are little by little running amok. It's a really, really crazy, over the top, really great, you know, crazy like gore effects and stuff in this, especially the robots, the stuff with the robots. They did an amazing job on the actual robot stuff. When you see the robots themselves, you know, like the skin and stuff to them, you know, when they don't have the human skin on. But really, really cool movie. I highly suggest you guys check this out. Love this one. Last 30 minutes of the movie is some of the really cool stuff. But it has on here though a commentary track on here with the director. It has interviews with the director on here, interviews with the special effects, you know, artists on this one, interview with the director of photography. But really, really great movie. The next one here, and this is you know, Ken Russell's film Gothic, and this is from the Vestron collection as well. I really like Ken Russell's movies. Hopefully they release The Devils. That's one I've always heard everyone talk about, but I've never seen that one. I don't think it's ever come out uncut on Blu-ray or anything. But he also directed Lair of the White Worm, which is, you know, Vestron released as well, like a year or so back. That's an amazing movie. And also Crimes of Passion. So he did like the movies that he did around the 80s, the late 80s, you know, mid to late 80s, were some really, really cool movies. This one was technically like based on, in some aspects of truth, from the creation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and kind of about how she came up with the idea. And it's about these group of these people who kind of come to Gabrielle Bryan's character's house for like kind of this party, kind of get together, and they're kind of there drinking and doing all kinds of like some sort of a weird type of drug thing that they're doing, and they're kind of out there and like they kind of talk to each other, and their weird stuff going on, sleeping with each other and all kinds of stuff, and they're talking about like scary stories, and like kind of trying to freak each other out with freaky stories and stuff. But it's essentially, it has that old school Gothic kind of vibe, but with Ken Russell's kind of stuff, with some really trippy imagery. And it's kind of like the one character starts seeing really weird things, and weird things are going on in this kind of castle place that they are. And I don't know, it's a really, really trippy, out there, very hard to explain, but a lot of great character actors are in this. Gabriel Bryan, though, who, one of my favorite things he ever did, and I think he did that, or like it was like 92 or something, like, but it was after this. But one of my favorite things he ever did was a movie called Shipwrecked. But he's been in tons of stuff, but this was an early film for him. The one guy too who plays kind of the crazy guy in the house, he's in a whole lot of British films. He's a really cool character actor. But I love this movie. It's a very weird movie. It's not going to be for everybody, but really cool. One of those ones too you really think about. It has on here though a commentary track with Lynn Russell on here, and the film historian, isolated score with audio interviews with the composer, some featurettes on here talking to Julian Sands in this one, as well as some other featurettes on this, as well as the theatrical trailer. But both of these Vestron ones, though, have great transfers. Highly recommend you guys check these out. Really, really cool movies. The next one here is from Lionsgate as well. This is an Ethan Hawke film that he stars in called 24 Hours to Live. This is one I didn't know much at all about going into this one, and it's an interesting kind of concept. It sort of has the feel of Crank a little bit, that kind of vibe. And Ethan Hawke is this like hired hitman, and he goes and he's like sent to I think it was, can't remember where he was sent, if it was Paris, or he was sent somewhere to go and take out this one target who was going to like testify and tell this kind of information about something that they had witnessed. So he has to go to try and take this person out and take out the witness. But when he gets there, he ends up getting, shot, and he dies. And there's like this weird type of experimental kind of thing that he, because he figured out the location of where this person was right before he was shot. So he gets brought back to life, and he has this thing on his arm which has like a countdown of 24 hours, and it keeps counting down. So he knows that, they tell him you're going to die in 24 hours. And they're, he tells them right after where this person was, and they, go to kill him, and he ends up escaping. And that's when the movie really picks up, and it's sort of him trying to sort of figure out what he's going to do, because he has this countdown on his arm. He's thinking if there's any way that he can stop this. At the same time too, since things kind of fell apart, and then he wants to kind of try and do something good, even though because everything else he's done has kind of been bad in the past for these people that he killed and the people that he worked for and stuff. So now he's like kind of going to try and find the person that he was sent to kill and kind of try and save them. That's essentially what the concept of the movie is. But it's like like I said, it's got that Crank kind of vibe, because Crank was the same kind of thing, with a similar kind of vibe with like Jason Statham's character. I think he knew he was going to die at a certain amount of time because he was poisoned. But this one is kind of like an experimental thing, but a kind of an interesting concept, because it was different though, because he was brought back from the dead, and he looks kind of real sickly when he's brought back and stuff. But a different kind of Ethan Hawke movie though. But definitely would say this one's worth checking out though. The next one, Warner Brothers sent over a free copy of this one to check out. And this is a movie starring Gerard Butler called Geostorm. This is one I didn't get to see in theaters. This is one of those really big, kind of end of the world type films, because beginning of this movie, the world is kind of falling apart, and there's like all kinds of like natural disasters and stuff that are coming, like floods and all this kind of stuff. And they ended up just, working on this kind of program to stop the weather and kind of control the weather by this like satellite type system that's sent up into the space, and it kind of can keep these bad things from happening through like this system that they have up there. And Gerard Butler is like one of the people who ended up inventing this. But at the beginning of this film, he ends up getting fired from this group, and this now 5 years later, and this machinery that's up there, this satellite system, this whole thing that's up in space is starting to kind of fail, and it's starting to kind of go and cause these kind of natural disasters because something is wrong with the system up there. And it's kind of got that vibe, a little bit of Armageddon, because Gerard Butler's character has to go up there and try and figure out exactly what's happening. And there's like all kinds of crazy things happening, like with like ice storms and people getting frozen to death, and big waves and huge like storm systems and all kinds of crazy stuff, like real crazy, over the top kind of like natural disaster kind of of things happening in this, with him trying to figure out, how to, save the day from all of this. But it has on here, though, a bunch of different featurettes on, the cast on here, and talking about the making of the film and the effects and all that kind of stuff. But a pretty interesting kind of end of the world, like natural disaster kind of like saving the day kind of film. The next one here is from Paramount, and this movie had some really mixed opinions and reviews and stuff, but I saw this one in theaters and really actually got into this movie. It's a movie that was written by the Coen brothers years back, and it never ended up getting made, and George Clooney came on to direct this movie. It's a movie called Suburbicon, starring Matt Damon, Julianne Moore, and Oscar Isaac, and it's pretty much, though, about Matt Damon's character who lives in this real suburban kind of like, I think it was set, I can't remember what year it was set, I think it might have been the 50s or 60s, and it's like, he lives with his wife, played by Julianne Moore, and she's not doing well. She's in a wheelchair and stuff like that. And the one night, though, these intruders kind of come into the house, and Julianne Moore's character ends up getting killed. She ends up dying in the hospital. And it's pretty much like, after this happens, there's some weird stuff going on, and Julianne Moore had a twin sister who now comes over and stays at the house. Looks exactly like her, so she plays two different roles. And you kind of start to discover about that night and what had happened, and like, some weird stuff that Matt Damon's character is kind of up to. It's a very, very interesting movie. Like, honestly, like I said, really got into this movie because, like I said, it has that, like, early kind of Coen brothers, like Blood Simple kind of vibe, because you could tell it was like, it just had that vibe of their early movies. And if you like the kind of stuff that Coen brothers did, like the Blood Simple kind of things, and like those kind of ones, it was also making me think of the movie Parents. Even though it was nothing like really like that, it had that sort of kind of vibe about like this normal looking kind of family that's kind of up to some weird stuff going on in the house. But I honestly like really got into this movie. It's not going to be for everybody, but I thought this was actually pretty good. And it has on here, though, a commentary track with George Clooney, a making of thing on here, and a thing on here about the music and about the casting on this one. The next ones I got here from Paramount as well is Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane. And these are the 4K Ultra HD editions of the films. I remember when Cloverfield first came out, this is one of those movies I remember going into it, I didn't know what I was going to think of it. And I remember I really thought it was actually a pretty well done found footage movie. It was actually, it felt very authentic, because some found footage movies kind of have way too much of a really super polished kind of vibe that doesn't seem like it was actually a homemade film. It was found stuff, and it had that, I remember it, though, in theaters. I remember people were saying how it was like kind of shaky and stuff, but it didn't really bother me, and I thought that it was all set in New York City, and like the alien stuff, and there's people at this party, and they were kind of like on the run where they were all coming after them. The movie looks, though, really, really good in 4K, though. It was always a very, very dark film, and it definitely benefits from the HDR, which definitely boosts the color levels and the contrast levels to the scenes and stuff. But it was a really pretty cool alien film. I know there's going to be a third Cloverfield movie, which I don't think there's even been a trailer yet released for that one, so I'm really interested in seeing that one. This has, though, all the past features here on the Blu-ray edition of the movie, but definitely one, though, I would say, if you guys are a fan of this movie and want to see this one in 4K, definitely one that would be worth for the upgrade. And then 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is, a follow-up in a way, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause it's somewhat of a follow-up, I would say. It's like based in the same kind of vibe of the film. This was, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character who gets into a car accident and gets taken down to the fallout shelter with this one other guy and John Goodman's character. And John Goodman's like really, really strange. And she's down there and she's like, "Oh, I want to get out of here." And he's like, "No, the end of the world's coming, and you got to stay down here. No matter what, you can't leave. There's no way you're going to leave. You cannot open up that door, the top. You're not going to get out of here. No matter what, you're down here." And she's like thinking, what is going on? This guy is nuts. He's trapped me down here. How am I going to get out of here? What am I going to do? And it's kind of like, is this guy, serious or what? What is going on here? It's a very, very crazy movie. I really, really like this movie. I remember how surprised I was with this one in theaters as well. And I thought it was just like, like I said, the Cloverfield aspect to it, almost like it didn't almost even need that in a weird way. The aspect to that had the Cloverfield thing to it. But I really, really got into this movie, and John Goodman was amazing in this, playing this like really crazy, and he had these like spats when he would get really, really mad. On the subject of John Goodman too, I can't wait to see that new Roseanne. Like I really am excited to see that show coming back again. But on here though, it has all the special features though from the past Blu-ray release. 4K wise though, looks amazing because this is another one of those movies too. Like I said, it was a very, very high contrast film, very, very dark. You know, all like a very gritty underground and this, grim, gloomy fallout shelter, and definitely benefits from the, the HDR, the color levels, and the contrast levels on this. But both these ones, I would say for sure, if you guys are a fan of these movies, most definitely worth the upgrade, for the 4K editions of these. The next one I got here from Paramount as well is a TV series I never knew about before called War of the Worlds, and this is the complete TV series here. It has all 42 episodes on 11 discs. This show ran for 2 seasons. The show was from 1988 to 1990, but like I said, I never heard of this. I never knew there was actually a TV series. Of course, the film and then the Tom Cruise, remake one. Yeah, I think like 2008. I can't remember for sure exactly when that one came out. But this was basically though about the aliens from the original film that was, were believed to be killed. They actually were in this suspended animation, kind of sleep state, and they end up being brought back. And it's kind of like the aliens are now back, and it's got, like I said, it's got that Body Snatchers feel because like you don't always know, who is and who isn't the aliens, and the aliens that have come back are now planning, a huge attack and takeover of Earth, and the show goes through all of that. The second season, though, was very different. It had like a really different vibe to what was going on in it. But essentially, that was about a group of the scientists and like the government and stuff trying to, stop these aliens. But like I said, they could take over the forms of humans. So then you wouldn't know, they wouldn't know who is and who isn't an alien. So it became like a huge, situation trying to figure it all out. It was actually a pretty fun science fiction show. And if you guys are a fan though of the, the War of the Worlds film, I would say definitely check this out, especially like science fiction type shows. Like I said though, it has all of the episodes here, and it's ran for 2 seasons here, but a pretty cool set. I always loved these complete series sets, and it has a thing in here inside which lists the episode names and everything. But pretty cool one here, like I said, one that I totally never knew that there was a TV series of. And the next one here I got from Universal, and I'll put a link for you guys can get this one for the best price. This is the movie starring Chevy Chase, Fletch Lives. And I feel like you always hear about the first movie, but I don't feel like you hear too much about the second film very much at all. And it was actually a really fun movie. I remember watching this one like a whole lot as a kid. I feel like as a kid, this was the one that I watched more for some reason. Like I feel like I saw this one first. And this is like Fletch, who was a kind of like a writer he was a writer for the newspaper, and would kind of always go undercover in like crazy, wacky disguises and all kinds of ridiculous get-ups and stuff to try and get facts and inside scoops and kind of infiltrate places and stuff. And he ends up finding out that he acquired this like really big house from someone that had died in his family that he had never met. So he goes to go to this mansion, and the mansion place is out, and I think it's in New Orleans, and it's real like sort of dilapidated and kind of like overgrown. And he goes there and he quits his job, and he kind of just goes like he thinks he's pretty much just going to retire and live in this house. But as soon as he gets there though, the one woman that he's like talking to about the house and stuff, she ends up dying, and it's sort of like Fletch becomes a suspect, and they kind of start to believe that he was involved in this, and he has no idea what happened, and it's sort of like somebody else wants this house and all this stuff going on. So it's kind of him trying to have to figure out how to clear his name, and he has to like kind of go undercover in his disguises and all that kind of wacky, crazy stuff. So if you guys like those kind of movies, and if you guys like the first one, we would definitely recommend you guys check this out. Really good picture quality on this one. And this is from, the Universal Burn On Demand line. So it's pretty cool like that they're starting to release some of the smaller kind of movies from the past now. Hopefully, like I said, they release like Prom Child 2. And there's a bunch of other stuff that I hope, like, still Night Professor 2, The Clumps has never been released. But like I said, I'll put a link, though, where you guys can order this one if you guys are interested. The next one here is from Magnolia. And it's a movie starring Elizabeth Moss called The Square. This is a really interesting kind of weird film, and it's like and it's set, I think it's in Berlin. It's like a museum. I think it was Berlin. I can't remember for sure where it was set, but it's like Elizabeth Moss goes there to talk to the kind of the head of this museum, like the curator of the whole thing, and they're trying to put together this brand new exhibit there, and it's kind of like they're working on trying to the publicity for it, and like the whole campaign to kind of get like hype for it, and it's about the guy who runs it. it's sort of about like all the weird things that are going on, why he's putting this whole show together, and the planning process. And he has stuff happen like his wallet goes missing in his phone. That kind of sets off a whole problem situation for him, and everything is kind of falling apart. And it's kind of him having a relationship with Elizabeth Moss's character, and it so shows all the kind of, it's like done in a kind of a parody sort of kind of view of the whole art world, and kind of like what is art and what isn't, and could this something like really simple become art if you kind of put it in a museum like this and say it's art. And it was an interesting kind of whole take on the whole art world and the big like gallery exhibits and that kind of stuff. Has on here though, behind the monkey man scene on here, casting tapes, behind the scenes photo gallery on this one, but a pretty interesting art film here. The next one here is from a company, it's a German release from a company called CMV Laservision, and this is a region-free release, and this is a Herschell Gordon Lewis film that he directed 2 of the segments on, like a real crazy anthology movie called Herschell Gordon Lewis Bloodmania. It's in this really cool case here. Really love this kind of case that this in, and it has inside of here, you know, some pictures and stuff. I can't show too much of stuff because it's a little gory. But it's like a bunch of like pictures and stuff about it, and here's a picture on the back of Herschell Gordon Lewis, and this was the last thing that he made before he passed away. And this is, you know, pretty much though, I think it was 4 different anthology segments on here. And you know, when it comes to anthology segments, you know, some segments are better than others, but it's like a real kind of over the top, kind of has like a trauma kind of vibe to this, like trauma film vibe to the segments and stuff. And it was like some real over the top kind of, you know, if you know Herschell Gordon Lewis stuff, he was always known for like gory effects and kind of crazy different stuff, you know, in his movies. And if you guys are a fan of his things and you want to see like the last things that he made, and I think there's 2 other directors that did segments on this, I believe, but his stuff is some of the best stuff on this. But like I said, really great cover on this one as well. The next ones here are from Mill Creek, and these are some new collections here. And this one is called Shadow Stalkers. It's 10 terrifying features here. And this is some of these are a little lesser known. It has, like I said, 10 different movies. It has Out of the Dark, which I think was only ever released on like a burn on demand release. Happy Birthday to Me, which I love that movie. Really great music. The guy who did the music in that did the music as well in Motel Hell. But like a great one about like this girl who's like getting ready to celebrate her birthday and people around her are starting to die. The Eyes of Laura Mars, Bloody Pit of Horror, Don't Answer the Phone, Nightmare in Wax, Silent Night, Bloody Night, Funeral Home, Don't Open Till Christmas, and Driller Killer. So a pretty cool set. I'm wondering too if down the line they're going to release Blu-rays of some of these ones, like Out of the Dark and Funeral Home, because I know they released the Blu-rays years back of Happy Birthday to Me, and maybe don't you know, Funeral Home and Don't Open for Christmas would be pretty cool for Blu-rays down the line. And this one here is called Hollywood Profiles, the Lucille Ball collection. And this has in here over 10 hours of movies, TV shows, documentaries, and commercials. So all kinds of different Lucille Ball kind of related content in this. It has it has 4 different movies: Her Husband's Affairs, Miss Grant Takes Richmond's, the Fuller Brush Girl, The Magic Carpet. It has episodes of The Lucy Show. Like I said, some vintage TV commercials. So if you guys are fans of Lucille Ball, pretty cool collection here of some sort of lesser known titles from her. The next one here I got from Mill Creek as well, and I believe this was a movie that aired on Lifetime. It was an original Lifetime film, and it was from 1993. It's a movie called Suddenly, A Family Torn Apart. And I was looking at the old release of this one. This is one of those ones that was like long out of print and really expensive, so now it's finally been released again, and it also includes a digital copy of the film. And this is essentially though about these 3 adopted brothers, who with their adopted parents. And in the beginning of the film, you see the someone with an axe like going off into the woods. And then you see Neil Patrick Harris call the police and says that he discovered his parents have been killed, and it's sort of about the cops looking at him because he was in the house when this had happened, but then he has this the brother played by Johnny Galecki who was like in and out of the asylum because of he's had anger issues and all kinds of problems. There's all kinds. It's one of those things where it's like looks like this is a normal family, but they have all kinds of like inner turmoil and problems and stuff, and it's like the police kind of trying to investigate and figure out if one of these kids was involved involved, you know, what exactly had happened to the parents because they were killed in a brutal way, and it's sort of like an investigation thing, and then hearing more and more about like what had happened in, you know, with their parents and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. It was a pretty interesting, like I said, very early Lifetime TV movie here. This one here is from Monarch Home Entertainment. It's a movie called Shockwave, Countdown to Disaster. This is one of those kind of end of the world type movies. And there ends up being like this weapon that this one guy is kind of sent to stop this, you know, rescue this woman. Like this army's group, you know, this army group is sent to rescue this woman who has this like device that these guys had stolen, these terrorists had stolen, which was like this kind of weird pulsating kind of weather type machine thing. And you know, it ends up getting turned on right before she gets rescued, and the army guys think that they kind of stopped it and blew the thing up. But of course it goes down into the middle of the earth, and it starts causing all these kind of like disasters and stuff from it. Like little by little things start going really, really bad. It's basically about a family who's out in the woods on this trip, and then like weird things, you know, start to happen with the weather. It's kind of them out there trying to survive, and then the woman who, you know, was with this machine, she's trying to figure out how she can stop this thing and kind of put an end to what's going on. But a kind of crazy, over-the-top, crazy, like weather type movie here. The next one here is from PBS, and this is a documentary called Into the Amazon. This is from the American Experience line that they have, and this is about President Theodore Roosevelt, and it was kind of making me think of the one jungle exploring movie recently. I can't remember the name of it. I'm totally blanking on the name, but about like mapping of the area in South America that no one had ever been to. And this is essentially what was going on with Teddy Roosevelt, going on this, you know, this journey to try and see these areas that no one had ever seen in the rainforest, and kind of like seeing it. But it's kind of about like things kind of went wrong, and it's kind of done in like reenactments, and you know, historians talking about his journey and all the kind of stuff that had happened, you know, while he was out there. But a pretty interesting, well put together documentary here. And the last thing here I wanted to show, I just got sent this today, and it's a Ben 10 box thing here, like a promo item box here to promote the show, and like this new DVD release here. I'll show you guys what's inside of here. It has like a DVD of Ben 10, the Cartoon Network original Villain Time. And this is a bunch of different, this is Season 1, Volume 1. But just want to let you guys know about this release here, because they just sent this over today. And it has in here, it has, I think it's a bunch of different episodes of, you know, the first season of this show here. And there's like a little booklet, or a little thing on here, though, on the back, kind of talking about it and like and kind of what's inside the box. But there's like a toy inside of here as well. So I wanted to show you guys this little Omni enhanced head blast toy here. And I don't know if this is, I think this is probably one you guys can get at like Toys R Us and stuff, but it's like a like I said, it's one of the characters from the show here, and it has on the back though some of the other characters from the show. I know I saw one of the Ben 10 movies, because I know Alex Winter, you know, from Bill and Ted, directed one of the films, like the live action films. But just wanted to let you know, show you guys this one and let you guys know about this one being released on DVD. Oh yeah, it has 20 episodes on this, letting you guys know this one is released on DVD. Anyway though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing.